Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stefan Spencer, and today we have David Henzel with us. David is a veteran entrepreneur who's been building in the SaaS and e-com space for over 20 years. He's had multiple successful exits, including MaxCDN, which you may be familiar with, that brand. His passion, though, is to help entrepreneurs and their organizations succeed, and not just for him to build the next business. So he has this really cool program, group coaching, kind of passion project called Managing Happiness. He also has a small portfolio of startups, which he is involved with as well, including TaskDrive, LTVplus, Shortlist.io, and 50 SaaS. David, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to talk about mostly managing happiness and what that means and how folks can do that, and kind of the optimizations that you've put in place and that you're helping others, entrepreneurs and clients put into place themselves, because you've had some very successful wins and you've optimized a lot about your life. So right now, what would you say is the biggest kind of win or optimization hack that you have acquired over these years? And we'll just kind of start off with on a powerful note here.
I mean, it's pretty basic, but I'm a firm believer that habits determine everything in your life.
Yeah.
And if you're rich or poor, happy or unhappy, obese or in shape, it all boils down to the habits that you cultivate in your life. So I'm a big habit nerd. I have a very strict morning routine, and I'm just like, I use a habit tracker, and it's like one of the key optimizations in my life, that I just make sure what you measure will improve. Business 101, right? So I think habits is probably my big one.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into that one. What habit tracker are you using? I've used Way of Life, for example, and I got out of the habit of using that habit tracker, though, because of what I found out afterwards, talking to BJ Fogg, who's kind of the godfather of habit formation. Yep, was that there was no shine in missing a day. Shine is the emotion or feeling of success. There was no name for this emotion until he named it. So the way that you succeed with a new habit is by maintaining shine, and you feel that success, and therefore you keep doing it. You put into the Way of Life app, though, that you missed a day, and then there's a big red there that breaks the chain, and then you don't feel good about starting all over again. You feel great while the chain is still going, but I put some red marks in there, and then my usage of that app just drifted. And after the fact, I realized
make you feel good, right?
Yeah, it should reinforce that shine. So I'm curious, what habit tracker are you using, and how are you reinforcing shine in order to maintain the habits?
So we've built our own habit tracker, which is part of Managing Happiness. Originally, we started out with a Google spreadsheet, super ghetto. But then, my CTO of one of my businesses, of 50 SaaS, he took the course and he really fell in love with the concept, and so he started building this habit tracker, and then we built upon that, and now we have like this software which is called 50 UpCoach, where we help other coaches to to provide group online coaching for other coaches, so they can reach more clients. And so yeah, I'm using my own habit tracker, and with the shine thing, I have this restart routine in case I miss a habit or in case I fall off the wagon. I trigger my restart routine, which is like kind of getting a massage, get a haircut, just self-care stuff. And then, which is kind of hard in COVID-19 days, but I do whatever I can do to take care of myself. And then from the next day on, I say, okay, now I'm on good behavior again. Let's do this again. And I have
that's brilliant. I love that. So it's actually kind of rewarding you instead, well, not rewarding, it's more encouraging you to get back on track rather than the feeling of guilt or shame or that you don't measure up. I love that.
And I have like an early warning sign, like the canary in the coal mine, which is my inbox zero habit. Like when I miss my inbox zero habit for too many days in a row, that's a clear indicator that there's too much going on in my life. And then I kind of always take a step back and think, okay, what's going on? What can I maybe not do or delegate or whatever? And it usually starts with inbox zero not getting done. Then I start eating after 9 p.m., which is a problem for me, not for weight, but if I eat after 9 p.m., I get this energy boost, and then I'm up to like 2 or 3, and then my morning routine suffers. So I kind of like always this circle. Too much going on, willpower gone at the end of the day, eating something, and then the circle starts.
Gotcha.
So,
And do you have a particular diet routine that you have? Are you doing intermittent fasting or what?
I used to do intermittent fasting for a long time, but since my personal trainer is forcing me to eat before we work out in the morning, so this kind of breaks it. So 3 to 4 times a week, I'm not doing intermittent fasting, and I'm vegan, and I also don't do caffeine. I don't smoke, completely drug-free. I don't drink. And this also, like, I think a big reason for being more optimized, since we talk about optimization here.
Yeah. Now, one thing I've recently learned about intermittent fasting, and was from one of the big biohackers. I don't remember if it was Dave Asprey or Ben Greenfield or whoever, but intermittent fasting doesn't work if you're under stress. So if you are feeling stir crazy because of the lockdowns, you're feeling stressed out because of the economic downturn, and you're worried about paying the bills, paying your team, and so forth, intermittent fasting is not necessarily going to work for you because of the biological cascades that happen when you're under that kind of constant chronic stress. Yeah.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm actually rarely stressed. I have this another habit is like a gratitude exercise. I have like this gratitude rock that every morning I go through the things I'm grateful for, and then throughout the day I have it in my pocket. And sometimes I get stressed, but then feeling this rock brings me back to actually everything is well, and this problem we'll deal with as well. It's like we tend to always focus on the negative stuff that's going on in our lives and completely forget how much beauty we still actually have in our lives. Like we're healthy, family members are healthy, we have enough to eat, we have a roof over our head, even if like business, if we lose our money or whatever, who cares, right? In the big picture. And at the end of the day, when I come home, I take the rock out of my pocket and I go through the things that went great this day, because often you have a very productive morning, everything's great, and then at 5 p.m. you have an unpleasant conversation with a customer, employee, or your spouse, and you think everything sucks, but it does not. So there's like still so much good stuff going on.
So how do you connect with that overall sense of gratitude, even when you're going through an argument? Do you reach into your pocket and hold the gratitude rock or something, or what's the?
No, it's just like a reminder. Sometimes I feel a rock. Then this brings me back to like, yeah, actually, what, we had dealt with worse. That's fine. We're gonna figure it out. And at the end of the day, like the reinforcement to kind of like really think about like, hey, even though this day was stressful, or this or that didn't go right, there's like still good stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. How did you end up coming up with this concept of a rock? You have gratitude exercises, journaling, meditations. I hear about all that sort of stuff, but I can't remember the last time I heard of using a rock as a way to trigger or kind of anchor gratitude. That's awesome.
I think it was from, what's it called? The Secret, like many years ago when this came out. And then I kind of tweaked the idea that they had,
Nice.
And I've been doing this for many years. And another thing is I'm very good at accepting things. Once the serenity prayer, once you accept something, you can act, otherwise you just react. And, doesn't matter really what happens. I just like, okay, this really, really sucks. And now let's see how we can make the situation better. Then you're like empowered, and you're not in the victim role. Like when you're in the victim role, like, oh my God, COVID-19 happens, like I'm screwed. Then, just there's always something you can figure out,
Yeah, I forget where I heard this from, but supposedly there are no victims, only volunteers, at least for us
Like
adults.
that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Okay. So now one thing that you had mentioned before we started recording is that you had started this Managing Happiness program as a course, but the completion rates of the course weren't that high. In fact, pretty much across the board with any online course, the completion rates are quite low. Doesn't matter whether the course is in theoretical physics or it's in basket weaving or entrepreneurship. Usually the completion rates are quite low, and thus you don't get the outcome. If you're signing up for a course, you've got this feeling that, okay, I'm buying something that's going to get me an outcome, but then you got to do the work. Otherwise, no outcome. You paid the money and it just sits on a virtual shelf. So you came up with a way of innovating the online course structure so that it became much higher completion rates, and outcomes were just through the roof. People were very happy and they got what they were after. So what did you do and why?
Sure. So I had this course called Managing Happiness, and originally was like applying business principles to family life. And the completion rate of this course was 7%. And this really ate at me because I was doing this mainly to have a positive impact in people's lives, not necessarily, money is good, but this was like not my primary focus with this course. And I thought my course must really suck, and then I looked at the numbers and it's like actually the norm, that's like sub 10%, that, there's no completion rate. So I thought, how can I get this information into people's heads? And then I started group coaching. So I invited 8 people and started this, like the concept of Managing Happiness, which is figuring out your personal mission, vision, values, your 90-day, 3-year, and 1-year plan, and the habits that you need to actually achieve what you set out or what you actually really want. And I've done maybe 15 cohorts by now, and always between 8 and 12 people, or 6 and 12 people. And the completion rate is only 2 people dropped out because they had business emergencies, and everybody else completed, and they saw really massive results. And I'm such a huge fan of group coaching because it works like we have a Zoom call 1 hour a week over 8 weeks, and there's some homework and some videos that they watch before the course, and this positive peer pressure, like if you're in this group and you don't want to be the person who didn't do their homework or like doesn't do their habits, etc. It's so powerful. And to up this, we have these accountability bodies. It's 3 people together that hold each other accountable. When somebody drops the ball, then the other person reaches out, like, hey, what's going on, why are you not doing XYZ? And it's been like crazy powerful.
So you're saying that when somebody drops the ball, another person in the accountability group reaches out. How do they know that somebody dropped the ball? If they're like, are they seeing a report or something? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's basically in the platform that we've built. It's under UpCoach.com now, so other people can use it as well. You have these a transparent habit tracker, so everybody in the group sees everybody else's habits. Everybody in the group sees everybody else's to-dos, if they do them or not, and everybody else sees their North Star, which is like their mission, vision, values. And we also commit to doing something between 1 and 3 things that bring you closer to one of your 90-day goals. And you tell the group, like, okay, I'm committing to you guys, I'm doing XYZ, so people actually do the important and not just urgent, and again, this positive peer pressure has been really effective.
One thing I have a problem with, I've admitted it many times on this podcast, is I have an incredibly long to-do list. I keep it in an app called Things by Cultured Code, and I have easily over 5,000, maybe 6,000 items in my to-do list now, which is insane. And it stresses me out going in there. So it's my trusted system as far as dumping ideas and next actions and so forth into that system. But it's not a trusted system in the way that I review on a weekly or even semi-regular basis what's in that to-do list. So I don't base my day on what's in there, which is kind of pointless to even have one if you are stressed out to even go in there.
Yes. Yeah. I use the bullet journal, which has been super effective for me. And basically, I plan now a week. Every Sunday evening, I sit down and I look at my 90-day plan. And I pick a few things out that I really want to work on this week. And then I write them in the corner, like, the stuff that I have to do this week or want to do this week. And so I make sure that every day I work on one of these items. So I'm actually, moving the ball into the right direction. And by detaching these long lists that you can potentially have and just like having it in the bullet journal week by week, it's like much less anxiety and especially focus, because there's like so many things that you could do. Actually, a friend of mine told me a good coaching question that his coach told him. It's imagine you have only 4 hours of work that you can do this week. Which are the projects that you would focus on, or what are the things that you would do? And basically do these things, go hard on these, and just like ignore the rest, and you'll like move the ball forward. So it's been very powerful for me, especially because I'm involved in so many businesses. I ask myself this question every Sunday, and it's very powerful as well.
So what would be an answer? Like, give me an example of this week's answer to that question. Like, what would you do for the 4 hours of this week?
So I have to iron out a few contracts for a few businesses that are currently up in the air. That's like the biggest thing. I had to hire the new developer for UpCoach, so we're moving faster, which I just sent out a contract, so knock on wood, this guy will come on board, so this will be solved. And I have to promote Managing Happiness to new group that's starting. So these were like the key things that I really want to get done. And
Gotcha.
Everything else is just icing.
Okay. And Managing Happiness is not your primary source of revenue, not by a long shot, right?
No. It's was never my goal to just like do this for the money. I even thought about turning this into like a Toastmasters-esque thing, or like an AA type thing, where it's like kind of self-organized groups. Initially, I want to turn it into a positive Ponzi scheme. So basically, people pay $1,000 to join the group, and then you have to start your own group at the end, and invite people and teach them what you just learned, and then you get $1,000 back. That's kind of it grows like that. And I'm currently, this is also something for this week to evaluate, like how can I really achieve this. And now things like right now it's like a linear course, so basically it's a cohort, and then people walk through this, and I want to figure out the system how we can do this with Managing Happiness and also with the UpCoach platform. That there can be ongoing groups where new people join, and then we can still teach them the same stuff. So that's kind of on my to-do list this week.
Oh, that's great. So it's a passion project. It sounds like it's got a lot of juice to it for you personally in terms of your own mission and vision. It's not one of your big business ventures, though.
I think it could turn into a very big business venture, because the coaching, especially remote coaching industry, is like, I think just I think it's also a blue ocean because it's not that coaching is getting bigger and bigger. Like a few years ago when you had the business coach, it was like something, oh really? And nowadays it's like it's pretty common. When you think like,
but it's not sophisticated, right? So the kinds of coaches that I've worked with don't use sophisticated tools like what you were describing.
Yes.
The ability to have the whole cohort be able to see whether I'm doing my habits or not.
Yeah, or like even
clever.
as the coach, if you see that, if you have one-on-one coaching, you see if the person checks off the habits, if they check off their to-dos, if they fill in the information that they have to fill into the worksheets that you have. Usually you kind of have to figure this out on the coaching call, but now you can kind of go in before that and figure out like, okay, he or she's falling short here. Then you can address the right thing, or you can proactively reach out and say like, hey man, what's going on? Like, why don't you do blah, blah, blah. Just makes, this accountability thing is like, another really powerful thing.
Yeah. I have some coaching clients, and they don't always do their homework. Yeah, that's actually pretty common. I'm thinking of one person in particular. I wonder if he's going to be listening to this.
You know who you
know
are.
who you are. Yeah, exactly. So what's the way that you make sure that somebody's doing the homework? Is it that that's listed as their to-dos, or is there some sort of framework for giving out homework, for
So
figuring out whether it's achievable and very kind of ring fenced and specific, or like, because
yeah, I mean,
that's something I kind of wing it a little bit. So, all right, well, based on what we discussed, here's what I want you to do for this this coming week. I just kind of make it up as I go along. So if there's more structure to it, I'd love to hear what that is.
So, I mean, if it's a one-on-one coaching, it's very specific, then, it kind of makes sense that you wing it in terms of their homework or their to-dos.
It is one-on-one coaching, yeah.
But in this group setting where you kind of have like a common goal that everybody, is working on the same thing, we have a video that explains what the homework is and what they should, kind of give them some thoughts on what they should think about. And then the software adds, you can define in the module what the to-dos are, what the habits are. Habits can also be KPIs that they have to track, and what the homework is, and this will be automatically added to their habit tracker or to their to-do list, etc.
Gotcha. Okay, so you mentioned KPIs, key performance indicators. There's another term that especially people in the Silicon Valley kind of software industry are familiar with, and that's OKRs.
OKRs, yes.
Yeah. So could you differentiate for our listener KPIs and OKRs, and which one that you recommend our listener follow or incorporate into their lives?
I personally, I've played around with some OKR tools, and I read a book about it.
Okay.
But
and OKR stands for objectives and key results.
Key results, yeah. Sorry. But I personally always use just normal KPIs.
Okay. So what's an example of a normal KPI?
A normal KPI can be activity KPIs, like how many sales calls do you do, what your weight is, when it comes to your personally, how often you work out, or your revenue goals or whatever,
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. And do you have any kind of prizes or incentives, surprises somehow that kind of get baked into the program so that people are reinforced with positive rewards and things that they don't expect? Because the research from Pavlov was that the more it was expected, the reward and the incentive kind of lost its juice. Yeah.
No, we plan on adding some gamification to it, but right now there's nothing really aside from like getting from the other people in the group being cheered on when you do something great. It's like the built-in. It's not technology, it's people.
Yeah, gotcha.
And
so you mentioned a term, North Star, which I don't normally hear in the coaching space or in the like in that world of OKRs and so forth. Is that something that you came up with, or is that from another program that you've kind of incorporated?
No, this is something I came up with or I used, because it's like my North Star is my personal mission, my vision, my core values, my not to-do list, and my 3-year, 1-year, and 90-day plan. Because this is like what I want. This is where I'm going. And when I make a big decision, I kind of always run these big decisions through my North Star. Is it in line with my mission? Is it in line with my vision? Is it in line with my core values? And then, this is so I make sure that I'm always going towards the right direction. That's why, kind of have my true north.
Gotcha. And let's unpack this a bit more. So what's the difference in your mind between the vision and the mission, and why have a 3-year and a 1-year set of goals? So let's start with those two things.
So the vision is basically where you're going, kind of like and also the why to some degree, and then the mission is kind of like the how you're going to do that.
Okay. What's your vision and what's your mission?
My personal vision is to be a change agent who's transforming the lives of individuals and organizations so they can reach their full potential. Just something that makes me very happy. It has been through multiple iterations, and now this is the final version right now.
Mm-hmm.
And my mission is to build this group coaching platform that empowers thousands of coaches to help millions of people to succeed. Originally, I wanted to do this with Managing Happiness, but now that we have this platform, I think it's like it can be even more amplified, and I can have even more positive impact in the world when I empower coaches to do their job better and to reach more people.
And you have some pretty big coaches that are working in this platform. It's new. It's a closed environment right now, kind of beta test.
Yes, closed beta, yeah.
But are you allowed to share any of the big name people?
I didn't ask them if I.
Okay. Well, never mind then. But there are some people who are big and have a big following. In fact, maybe even past guests of this show. So we won't get any more specific than that. But it's impressive. So I would love to see you go viral with this UpCoach platform, because it really does have.
I hope so.
Yeah. It's impressive. It really has some differentiating factors and features to it that make it much more impactful from what I can see. What do you charge for your Managing Happiness program?
The Managing Happiness program was $1,000 originally, but we upped it down to $500. And then when COVID happened, I just moved it down to $300 to make it really affordable for people. And it's you're in a group between 6 and 12 people, and you have 8 hours, 1 hour per week on a Zoom call, kind of working through this stuff. I'm probably going to move the price back up to $500 again, because I think people got used to the new normal, and also in all of my other businesses, sales are picking up again. So I think it's if you're not in one of the industries that has been really hit hard by this, I think it's kind of back to normal. And I also have another coach who's also running these groups now, and just make sure they're paid well.
Yeah. And do you have I don't know if you call them students or members, or how do you refer to them?
I guess coaches or group members. Not sure.
Okay. So these folks, are they just doing the one-off 8-week program, or do you get some folks who want to do it again and again and again?
Actually, I have multiple people who did it multiple times now.
Okay.
And I was so surprised, also, I think it's not the normal coaching model, because usually as a coach, you want to keep the client around. For me, it's because I did this as my passion and side project. I just want to run people through it and then get rid of them, so
get them their outcome and then let them move on.
Yeah. And, no follow-up. Actually, what's also super cool is the groups after the 8 weeks. Most of them still meet bi-weekly or monthly without me, and still hold each other accountable, which so cool to see. But a bunch of people actually just opted in to do it all over again.
Yeah, very cool. I'm in Genius Network, which is Joe Polish's group, and it's great. I love it. And a small group of us who joined at the same time ended up creating our own little accountability group, and we'd meet every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. And I dropped out of that after about 6 months. Dropped out maybe a couple months ago. No, it's been longer than that. Anyway, so the reason I dropped out, and I'm curious to hear your take on this, was that I felt I wasn't getting enough value out of being in that group. I was certainly delivering a lot of value. I was delivering more value. I felt like I was coaching
the group,
my group, and not really. Yeah, my time is super valuable, and I need to be very intentional about where I spend my time. And Sunday is a day that I don't normally do calls and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna drop. So I'm curious what could have been done better with that group so that I would have wanted to stay, And what do you do differently in order to get more outcomes for your coachees when they're doing these accountability group meetings?
You mean like while I'm part of it, or while they just meet on their own?
Like both. I'm curious if folks who are meeting on their own, either during the program or after the program finishes, like how do they continue to get value out of meeting on a regular basis, and what sort of structures do you provide them that help them with that?
So we have a clear agenda, which is also built into the platform where you can follow the agenda. And it's usually we start out with good news. Everybody shares some good news. Then we review each other's habits, or people kind of write in like where they struggle and what's going well, so you can get feedback from the group. This is also actually something that is so amazing with this group coaching, because it's not the coach who has to talk all the time. Often the best results are delivered by other group members telling the others like how they solve the problem. It's like this peer learning is super powerful. So yeah, and then the holding each other accountable with their 90-day goals. You set out, okay, I'm gonna do XYZ, and then having to actually do that. I think these are the things that make it interesting for people. But I know what you mean with like being in. I was part of a few masterminds where I felt that I've been just like kind of delivering lots of value and not really getting much back. And at some point it becomes old. So I can relate.
Yeah, and they're great people. I'm very happy to be in Genius Network, the larger group, but this particular little cohort of accountability partners did not. It didn't deliver enough value that I wanted to stay. So anyways, but I love what you're saying about starting with good news, that positive focus, sort of that's a North Star in itself, right? So knowing
Also,
that you are grateful. Yeah, go ahead.
At the end of the meeting, we always rate the meeting from 0 to 10.
Okay.
And if somebody gives below an 8, then you tell the group why this is below an 8, and then you could address these things like, hey guys, you're not delivering enough value for me, and then you can kind of have this open discussion on like how you can actually do that. I think that's also a very powerful thing, to just address stuff, and like actually having the system built in that people are transparent and that it's okay to critique others. Like, okay, I give this meeting a 5 because Stefan did not do what he said he would do, and he was 10 minutes late or whatever. So like these
That's funny. Yeah, I remember showing up to one workshop. It was a great workshop, but I was 2 minutes late for this workshop, and it was run by Ephraim Olszewski, who's been on this podcast. He's been on both of my shows, in fact. And he spent the first 3 hours of the workshop talking about how you do one thing is how you do everything, and your accountability and everything. And it all starts with showing up on time, Stefan. I felt so bad, so guilty for essentially wasting the first 3 hours of this it was a 2 or 3 day workshop, but it was a significant chunk of the time spent on this issue because I was 2 minutes late. Wow, that had an impact.
I believe in how you do one thing, how you do everything, but you can't. Sometimes you have to cut people some slack.
Yeah, but the thing is that it made so much of an impact on my life because I realized that I was late for so much in my life.
Oh, okay.
Because I let my standards slip.
And then I'm German. I have to be on time. It drives me nuts not being on time. Like really, it's like it almost causes me physical pain when I can see that I will not make it on time. It's like, for example, when we want to talk and the Skype connection didn't work, it drove me nuts. I'm like, wasting time, being inefficient. It's on me. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry for maybe bleep this out.
It was not a problem for me because we did start on time. Well, I messaged you right at the exact hour and minute that we were scheduled to start. And within a minute, we were already communicating and trying to get the connection working. So it's all good, but I do value people's time. And I think especially in this environment where a lot of people are doing virtual meetings now, Zoom calls, I am on Zoom calls all day long. Not that I wasn't before, but it's significantly
Amplified,
more amplified now. And I think we're being kind of called to up our Zoom game, because being on so many meetings, people are more not demanding, but their expectation level is higher, that you'll have a better background, that you'll be more kind of kept when you show up on a Zoom call, that you're going to have an agenda, that you're going to be efficient and be mindful of people's time, that you're not going to be late, even a minute late. Like all these sorts of things, I think are elevating people's expectations. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's my next moves are gonna get like a cam link for my DSLR, so I can have like a really more crisp video. That's on my list. And in terms of agendas and being on time, I think it's a must. Like I have an agenda for pretty much everything, and I'm happy to throw the agenda away and do something else. But I like to come prepared and kind of know what I want to get out of this, what I want to do, what our goals are. It's just way more efficient than we can joke around, do stupid stuff, but at least like kind of have an idea and have a plan, which you can disregard if you want to be playful. But I think it's I guess the German in me, it's inbred, has it.
Yes. And so you mentioned a DSLR camera hooked up for as your webcam. I'm going to do that too, or at least I'm planning on doing that, and then setting the f-stop to a low number so that it kind of gently fades the background instead of having a virtual background. I find the virtual backgrounds to be distracting and kind of annoying and a little cheesy.
Yeah, it was fun in the beginning, like kind of I just had a call with a friend who was on the Enterprise Star Trek thingy, like.
That's funny. But was he wearing the outfit?
No, he was not.
Okay,
but,
so that would be the differentiator. If he was wearing the outfit,
it would be okay again.
Then it's okay.
True,
then it's like that's pretty awesome.
But I agree. Like you move the hand, then like the hand kind of like
disappears, right?
Yeah, that's a little weird. So, but yeah, I actually never did it. I never looked into the.
You've never turned on the virtual backgrounds, huh?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Yep. So the DSLR camera with the connector thing. Actually, I had a whole episode on my other show on Marketing Speak talking about how to up your video game, and that was with Ken Okazaki. So definitely check out that episode if that interests you, listener. But that DSLR camera thing is a nice little difference maker, and being thoughtful about what is in the view of the of the attendee or the person that you're speaking with. Maybe even having some things that are conversation starters. Like I see in your background, you have a really interesting
my meditating frog.
a meditating frog in a lotus position. I like that. So that has some meaning for you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the view. What's the meaning of it, or what's the value of it for you?
My wife is an interior designer, and she knows I'm a meditating hippie, so she bought the frog. There's no real backstory other than that. I guess she sees me sitting like this on a regular basis.
That's cool though, and it gives people a sense for you. Just like you're on a business call talking about, I don't know, TaskDrive, one of these businesses of yours, and it's all business, but they see that in the background and they think, oh, this is somebody who's got their head on straight. They actually take time to meditate, or they think it's important.
I actually, I mix business and my, I am who I am, and I'm not hiding any of that when it comes to business. Also when I meet people on whatever, on a flight in a business situation, I'm always like super open, and I'm not holding back, just like all personal stuff. Like, I don't care. I like to go deep with people, like screw superficial small talk.
Mm-hmm.
And this also really helps me to connect much deeper and much better with the people that I meet, and has been just like a real blessing to doing that. I'm a recovering introvert. I used to be very, very introverted. I did Toastmasters, and I went to a networking event twice, 2 Toastmasters events per week, and two networking events per week to overcome this introvertness fear thing, because I felt like how much this was holding me back in business, and then I kind of, with exposure therapy, I kind of got over this. But the real click in my head happened when my yoga teacher said every decision in life you either make out of love or out of fear. If you make it out of fear, you're on the right path. If you're out of love, you're on the right path. If fear, you're on the wrong path. And then this really clicked, because if I make it about the other person, then, and not about me, like, let's say in public speaking, like what I have to say here can potentially help these people, right? Then I can do it out of love. I can give a good presentation. If I do it out of fear and I think about, like, do people think I have a weird German accent? Do people think I look weird? Do people think what I'm saying is stupid? Then I can't present, because I make it out about me, and I'm acting out of fear. Same with being on a podcast. I would have never done this before. I was even uncomfortable on a conference call, so it's like, or in sales, like, I want to sell you this product here because I know, I want to sell the UpCoach. I would love for you to use UpCoach, because I know it can elevate your coaching business, and I used to hate sales with a passion, because I always felt like I'm a used car salesman shoving something down somebody else's throat. But if I do it out of love, because I know what I have here can help the other person, then it's totally cool, and the other person also feels this, and it's more likely to say yes, versus if I'm acting out of fear and I just think about, like, oh, I have to hit my numbers, I have to pay my mortgage, whatever, then the other person also feels this, and I feel like shit. So, and this, like, was that's my mantra, is make decisions out of love, not out of fear. It's like, in every aspect of my life, I'm doing my best to always, like, look at it through this lens.
Yeah, I love that. And it's kind of similar to how I look at just my day and my podcast interviews, the calls that I have, everything that I'm up to. I look at, how am I revealing light, or am I revealing light in this situation? So that is kind of similar to what you're describing, with whether you're doing this out of love or out of fear. Yeah. And also, I've got another thing too that I learned from Anil Gupta, who was a guest on this podcast. He actually told this to my wife, Orion, and it was profound and very impactful for her. And that is that when you don't step up and do whatever it is, like a video or a speaking engagement or whatever, where you're afraid to expose yourself, right? Or to make yourself vulnerable. When you choose to shrink like that, people are dying because of your choices. Like, she can help people with her life coaching and her love coaching to transform. These people can get a meaningful relationship. They can feel empowered. They can, like, one of her clients stopped smoking, added years to this person's life just by not smoking anymore. And there were people who felt kind of hopeless and maybe even suicidal, that she turned them around. So literally, people would be dying if she did not step up.
It's a very good point. Somebody in the Managing Happiness group that is finishing tomorrow, he stopped smoking 2 weeks ago. Which is really awesome.
That's great.
I follow Sadhguru. I do his, do you know Sadhguru?
Yes, I saw him speak at LA Summit last year. His father had just passed away, and he still made it to this event. He has never not shown for a speaking engagement in his entire life. And his father had just passed away, and yet he hopped right on a plane and made it to LA from India. It's incredible. Yeah, an incredible man, incredible.
Yes, I follow his inner engineering. I took his course in LA like a few years ago, and it's like this Upa yoga and meditation routine that I do every morning. It takes like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And it's also like a really big foundation stone of me being on my A game. And to what you said in terms of with that you have to share what you have with others, even if you're scared,
Yeah.
He said a peacock is this beautiful bird, right? But the peacock still has to scream to attract a mate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have something that can help others, you have the obligation to scream and be loud and make noise, so you're seen and share your good.
Right. So the peacock who shrinks and kind of hides doesn't get the mate and doesn't procreate, doesn't have their genes passed on from generation to generation. Yeah. Yeah. And you said the inner engineering course. I'll include a link in the show notes for those who are interested in this. So that was pretty profound for you then.
Yes, very much so. It's absolute game changer for me.
Yeah.
So I can highly recommend it.
Very cool. And how did you come across Sadhguru initially?
I think I saw his videos on YouTube, and I have I'm an engineer by trade. I have a very good bullshit sensor, and everything he said was like, I could not find anything wrong with this, and I really enjoyed his videos. And I saw that he has this in engineering class, and I went, and it was very profound. It's like a 3-day, no, it's 4 days, I think. Thursday evening, Friday evening, and Saturday, Sunday, the whole day before Corona. But you can also do it online now. And yeah, really, really amazing program.
That's great. Now, part of kind of your lifestyle and how you operate in the world is to live somewhere kind of exotic and different, and have kind of people come to you. And I mean, you still go to events. I saw you last year at Traffic and Conversion Summit, for example. So you still get out there in the world. Well, this was pre-COVID. But, I'm curious to hear, why are you in Bodrum, Turkey? And like, how do you also see the future unfolding for you in terms of you going out to the world, whether it's to an event, a conference or something as simple as a haircut?
So I ended up in Turkey because we lived in Los Angeles. We're from Germany originally, and my wife said after we sold MaxCDN, she said, like, please, I'd like to be closer to family. It also had to do with my mother passing away, and my wife was very close to my mom, so she wanted to be closer to family. And she wanted to go back to Germany. I said, honey, I love you, but I can't go back to German weather. It just doesn't work for me anymore. And so we looked somewhere in Europe, close to Germany, close to family. And I would have preferred Spain because my Spanish is much better than my Turkish. But my wife has Turkish parents, and so she speaks the language. So we ended up here in Bodrum, and we really love it here. People are super nice, food is great, the weather is just like Los Angeles, nature is beautiful, and the cost of living is a real joke. It's really, coming from Los Angeles, it's an absolute joke. Can
you give us an example of something that's crazy inexpensive? That, like, I'm based in LA, so I'm curious to hear the juxtaposition of something that I'd spend, let's say, a haircut, $80 for, might be what?
And a haircut, when you go to like a barber type haircut. So getting a shave, and the Turks are really crazy with their barber shops. They shave you, they rip your nose hair out, they burn your ears with fire. Their hair it's a crazy show. So this whole thing and the haircut costs maybe 50 lira, which is like, how much is it now? $1, 7 lira. So yeah, next to nothing, like less than $10.
All right, cool. So what would be something that is a big purchase, like a house or something that you would pay, let's say, $1.5 million for just a pretty basic house in LA?
Like $100,000.
$100,000.
And you have like the taxes on our house is, we pay every 3 years. You have to pay taxes only because we're in a village, and we pay like $300 of taxes every 3 years. So it's like, it's just really crazy. The only thing that's more expensive is cars, but everything else is just like really cheap, like private schools, having like a, personal trainer. My personal trainer comes 5 times a week. Also gives me nutrition advice, and he drives to my house, and we train here, and I pay him 1,800 lira per month. Which is like, it's, everything's very reasonable. So with COVID, I realized that how much time I'm spending driving to the office here in Bodrum, then going to restaurants, going to the gym, and so I decided to just optimize everything. And I'm closing down this office here, and we built an addition to our house, and I'm gonna move the office basically next to my house. And I have my PT come. We have a cook, and I'm looking for a massage therapist to come, and we also had like a barber come. So I'm just basically not leaving my house anymore because it's just like so time efficient.
That's really cool.
We live in the middle of nowhere in lots of nature, and we have 8 dogs, and so it's I enjoy spending time at home. I love to travel. I love to go to conferences. I used to go to a ton of conferences. I used to travel 1 week out of the month before COVID happened, but now I kind of like, yeah, COVID made me rethink a lot of things. Spending more time with my daughter and my wife, and just being more intentional, not just like go to every event like a crazy person.
Yeah. I definitely went to more conferences than I needed to. So I've got this FOMO thing going on, fear of missing out. So and I have an 8-month-old. So that's really caused me to rethink my priorities too. So I'm going to be very intentional about which conferences I still go to once
there are conferences again.
Yeah. Which might not be for a while. Yeah.
Yep, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I know we're running short on time, so maybe we could switch to kind of a lightning round for the last 5 or so minutes. So what are you said part of the North Star are your core values. I'm curious, what are your core values and how did you come up with them?
Sure. So my first core value is choose love, make decisions out of love and not fear. As I mentioned before, which is kind of my mantra. The other one is own it. We build trust and loyalty through total accountability, which is something that I had in my businesses. So like a few of these core values are inspired by the core values I had in my businesses. Then don't stop, be driven to change and grow and believe in yourself. Then deliver value, enrich the lives of everybody we come in touch with. So similar to your light thing, right? Reading your light. Then simplicity, only do and buy things that really matter. Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. And then keep it real, be authentic, be yourself. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And yeah, these are my core values.
That's awesome. I know that if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. That comes from, I forget who.
I also forgot where it's from.
Yeah. But he's got a whole book about it, and I think. Anyway, so that one I'm familiar with to some degree, but then there were other ones that I wasn't familiar with. Are these things that you've learned through conferences or workshops or through getting coached by coaches or mentors? Like how did you develop these?
It's a mixed bag. The one with the simplicity, I like to just optimize stuff. I only wear black, for example, because it's like easy when I travel. Like I go for 6 days, 1, 2, 3.
You're like
5,
Mark
6.
Zuckerberg. He has just one outfit. Like he's got hundreds of of shirts of the same exact shirt, but then he doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to waste cognitive load on deciding what he's going to wear for the day. So you're like that.
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I have different outfits, but it's just all black, so it always matches. So it's and then simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. I think that's an Einstein quote. And yes, and choose love. I mean, it kind of came from my yoga teacher, as I mentioned before, and the other ones from business. So at MaxCDN we didn't have. This is also why I'm such a mission, vision, values nerd, because we didn't have a clear mission and vision, and we grew very fast. And then we hired a bunch of people, and we did not tell these new people what our actual mission and vision were. And then our CTO, and new CTO, who was at Splunk before, built this crazy data analytics engine on top of MaxCDN, which was cool for 5% of our customers, not for the rest. Or our head of sales ran after enterprise clients, even though this was not a target audience. So we kind of lost ourselves, and it was like really hard for a moment until we realized that this was the reason why. And we implemented this, and then we took off again. So this is why I'm like so crazy about having these decision filters, and also have a hard time saying no. And it's much, do you want to work on this project? Do you want to do this, do that? I can run through my filter, my mission, vision, and core values, and is it in line with this? Then okay, I can consider it, and if not, I'll just like say no.
Yeah. So that's an important point for those of us who have trouble saying no, and I'm one of them. The not to-do list is as important, if not more important, than the to-do list.
Yep.
So how do you maintain a not to-do list, and like, what are your thoughts on that?
So my not to-do list is basically controlling my environment. So it makes it easier for me to have my habits right. For example, not checking email or social media, or looking at my phone before I'm done with my morning routine, or before it was like leaving the house, but not it's like being done with the morning routine. Or not charging my phone in the bedroom, because it's like you're kind of tired, you can't fall asleep, then you just like take your phone and scroll, and then like a few hours pass. Not eating after 9 p.m. is an important one for me. No recurring meetings before 1 p.m. So I have like focus time. No travel without my wife for more than 1 week per month, because otherwise this like creates unhappiness at home. And a new one for me is like I don't want to be in the org chart, just like always being in the background, which kind of changed with UpCoach and Managing Happiness, because these are my passion projects. But with my portfolio businesses, I don't want to be in any of this. I don't want to have a dancing bear business, which is like, kind of like where you have to, if the bear stops dancing, then it stops. So to some degree, Tony Robbins has a dancing bear business, because he always has to kind of run the show.
Yeah, I have a dancing bear business. I'm a dancing bear. I admit it. If I'm not doing the SEO stuff, then the business does not make the revenue. Yeah.
And the other one's like only Calendly, because I do time blocking in my calendar. There's like morning routine, there's family time, there's like focus time, blah. And if you call me and say like, hey, can we do a call at XYZ? Even if it's 4 a.m. my time, I say, sure, like something's broken in my head. Like always like kind of say, okay, yeah, I'll make it work, And this, then I schedule time during family time, or I don't get enough sleep, or blah. So it's like another one not to do list, like only use Calendly.
So you've got boundaries, it sounds like. And that's great.
Just to some degree, yeah.
Very good.
And I have like a lot of other boundaries, of course. I'm a big believer that, if you have these boundaries or borders that you put around yourself, and if you cross them too often, then they just like disappear, so it's like, this is why I stopped smoking. I used to smoke a lot of weed when I was a teenager, and I just like made this boundary. I will not do this again ever, even though I really enjoyed it. But I think it's like the handbrake in life. It's more, it's because I did this to such an extreme that I may get back into this habit again, so it's like kind of like on and off switches. And it's much easier for me to just like not do something. Or if I want to lose weight, I cut out all carbs, and and then if I'm on this thing, then it's super easy. But once I kind of, little bread here, little bread there, then it's like goes downhill.
Yeah, well, that's an important point, because there are two types of people. There are abstainers and there are moderators. You and I are abstainers, right? So we cannot moderate. It's just, I'll just have one cookie. The bag will be empty by the time I'm done. Yes. So I have to abstain completely from it. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope right down to hell.
Yep.
And if that resonates for you, listener, then you just need to go cold turkey and cut it out of your life. Don't have
if I want to lose weight, just like don't have nothing at home. Like don't have chips at home. Don't have cookies at home.
Right.
I had like lots of arguments with my wife, like, oh, but what if guests come? We have nothing to serve. I'm like, I'll go and buy something then. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And a few more quick questions. So you have morning routines that you've come up with, and what was the biggest inspiration for those different routines, of like whether you meditate or read or exercise or whatever at the morning time, and what time you wake up? Like what's the big North Star or inspiration for your morning routines?
It's hard to tell because like I consume a lot of books on self-help and optimization and productivity. It's like a very mixed bag of stuff that I pick up here and there.
Yeah.
So I can't really point my finger to.
Well, you just mentioned one before we started recording that you read recently called the 5 a.m. Club.
Yes, the 5 a.m. Club. Yes. So this one I got from To Get Up at 5 a.m. So I always like I consume a lot of books, but I never take a book like the Bible. You have to follow it. I just like pick out what I think makes sense, and because this I start getting up at 5 a.m. For the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the last 6 days. It's been working really great, even on the weekends. And I just like do my morning routine a little earlier, and I start journaling, and I'm testing these new habits out and see if they stick, and if they enrich my life, and if they don't, I throw them out again.
Yeah, awesome. And you sleep how many hours a night?
Like I'm okay with 5 hours. Also 4 hours I can sustain for a while, and usually I don't sleep much more than 6 hours usually.
That's less than what is recommended, right? So 7 or 8 hours is recommended.
Yeah,
supposedly?
I heard a lot of stuff about like you have to sleep 8 hours plus or whatever, but I don't know. Like when I lay too long, then my body hurts. When I sleep too long, then I'm tired. Like it's and if I'm super tired during the day, which doesn't happen that much, then I just like take a power nap of 15 minutes, and it's okay as well.
Yeah.
I think like different people are different. Actually, I think when I stopped eating meat, I mean dairy. I've not had meat for over 20 years, but I became vegan like maybe 7, 8 years ago or so. 6 years, I don't know. As I mentioned, I smoked too much weed as a teenager. Like the time thing is, since then, I think I can sleep a little less because I guess my body just like has less work to do.
Okay.
And
So
not eating after 9 p.m. is like another thing. Like you just sleep better and more rested when you can.
Right. So what inspired you to become vegan?
I became vegetarian with 18 or 19 because I just like didn't like meat anymore. There was like no particular reason. And then I watched this TED talk called Beyond Carnism, and this kind of like made me
Was
realize
that Melanie
like,
Joy?
Yes.
Yep. I've had her on the show.
You had everybody on the show.
I have pretty much everybody.
And this was
She's
like
awesome, by the way. I really like her.
This is like a big eye opener for me. How bad we treat animals, and I don't have to do it. And like with all this factory farming and blah. So I was like, I can't justify it because I like eating cheese that an animal suffers. I think it's just like not cool. That's like everybody can do whatever they want to do. I don't want to be the annoying vegan. But
yeah, the joke. Do you know how to tell somebody's a vegan?
No.
Because they'll tell you.
I'll tell you. If somebody's a vegan and does CrossFit, what does he talk about first?
Exactly. And I'm pretty much vegan, but I'm not super strict. So if it's got some dairy in it, like a baked good or something, I'll still eat it. But I don't drink milk. Haven't drank milk for ages, and rarely have anything with cheese in it. I don't eat cheese. I'll eat the vegan cheese equivalent, but yeah. But my wife is not even vegetarian, so she's a meat eater. So
she eats meat.
Yeah, she eats meat. So it's a little interesting.
My wife stopped eating meat like a few years ago, but she used to eat it, and she still eats fish and cheese. And it's like, but everybody has to do what everybody else wants to do. I cannot force anybody. My daughter, for example, she eats meat. And as long as she wants to eat meat, then she'll eat meat. She doesn't eat a lot of meat because at home there's no meat. But when we go out, she eats it. And everybody has to make their own decisions.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, I advocate veganism, but I'm not proselytizing it. I don't shove it down people's throats. And I think that one of the reasons for that is one that created a lot of conflict in my life in the past. But also, I think it's an inevitability that within the next maybe 5 years, 10 years max, we won't be having factory farm, kind of like big agriculture with all the animal slaughter. I think it's just going to be generated from cell cultures, and that's just the future, because it's going to be a lot cheaper and a lot more scalable.
I heard some veganism activists say something that was pretty profound. I think if we at some point we may look back at slaughtering animals and factory farming animals the same way as we look back at slavery, like kind of like, how could we have done something that cruel? Like, what the heck was wrong with us? But it's like currently it's the norm, and everybody's like, I want my burger.
Well, that's the whole point of carnism, is that we're kind of asleep in certain aspects. We don't want to know what happens behind closed doors in those at the feedlots and all that sort of stuff. We're just kind of conveniently compartmentalizing that.
Yeah. La.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Last super quick question. What's your favorite meditating book, resource, app, tool of some sort? Like, what's helped you the most? Maybe it's like
it's the inner engineering.
So the inner engineering course. Isn't there a book or something?
Yeah, he also released a book. But I bought the book, but I never read it, I have to admit. But
okay. Awesome. Okay, so I know we're out of time. Thank you so much. And again, if you could also reiterate what those website addresses are for connecting with you, for signing up for the course Managing Happiness, for those of us who are coaches and want to check out your UpCoach platform, what are the websites that we want to send folks to?
So Managing Happiness under managinghappiness.com, and UpCoach is under upcoach.com, and my personal website is davidhenzel.com, where you can find links to all the other businesses that I'm involved in case you're curious. And you can always reach me at th@davidhenzel.com, or on Facebook or Twitter or whatever your preferred social media platform.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, David. And listener, please take some of this in and change your life, not just your own, but somebody around you can really benefit. It's a ripple effect that you could change the world just by changing yourself. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stefan Spencer, signing off.